Our 104.5 The Zone Studios. Ramon Foster en route with a lot of cars in his way as he gets to Germantown Metro Center this morning. We've got Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling here with you, 615-737-1045. We are back. Good morning.
Good morning. It feels good out here. The field looks really good and crisp, and we've got the equipment staff out here already hard at work getting the coolers filled. So it just feels like, I said, training camp is officially here, and it is. And I'm so glad we're actually out and breathing and soaking it all in. But I have been told by Kirby Allen Kirby that we will not be giving weather reports. That will not be in our arsenal today. We don't want to hint at anything or jinx anything.
That's fair. It is like a perfect game or a no-hitter. You never say those words out loud.
Yep.
But we will have the benefit of having a much different forecast when we get here versus all of the other media who will jinx, will complain, will pontificate about the weather patterns, the sun, all of these things. So we've got it pretty good.
We do, and it's weird because it's already light this morning, but, you know, as we know, probably next month we'll be waking up and it'll be dark, but we'll take this any day of the week.
We will. We absolutely will. Man, it just feels good to be looking at a football field.
Yeah, it does. And just talking with all of the guys yesterday in terms of Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan and Anthony Robertson, it was nice to just kind of get a little bit of a preview of what we can start to expect out here in the next couple of weeks. And again, we talked about the word transparency with this staff. We've used that a lot in the last few months since hiring everybody, and it continued yesterday. I just feel like we got a lot of really transparent answers about some difficult questions, maybe, and it looks like they're on the right path.
The energy of the building feels good yesterday. It sounds like, I mean, obviously, when you start training camp, everyone is the best shape they've ever been. They are happy to be here. Everyone's present, but it does feel like there are more positives than negatives when you talk about this football team beginning camp this season. There's not a contract holdout. There's not a major injury to a starter. We'll get into maybe the starting right tackle who's got a little bit of an injury coming in, Nicholas Petit-Frere. But there's not any kind of cloud, Kidwell, that's hanging over Titans training camp day one, and not everyone in this league can say that today.
I would agree with you. And every year it's a little bit different in terms of the feeling when you come into camp, but you're right. I feel like this is such a fresh start for everybody, players, staff members. I mean, Amy Adams Strunk, in terms of her entire organization, it feels like they've pressed the reset button, and it's positive energy. That's what we've heard from the start, and I don't really think it's a lot of smoke blown, up our you-know-whats. I think it is real. Now, once the season starts and things, go up and down, which they will always, that's how seasons go, we'll see how they respond to it. And we'll see if that good kind of feeling still exists here. And I think Brian Callahan and staff can do that no matter what. There's going to be some rocky times early on, but I think that they have the staff and the personnel to get through those situations. But yeah, it looks like the players are all on the same page. It looks like they're excited to be out here and kind of looking for a fresh start. So I'm excited to see some of the guys we didn't even see during OTAs and mandatory minicamp, including Jeffrey Simmons.
Well, the important question we have to ask, considering there are two of us sitting at this table, there is a large gap to my left. I think, Kayla, maybe the question we ask Ramon is, how would Mike Tomlin deal with a late, tardy entrance on day one of Steelers training camp?
I'm actually really interested. He's walking in right now, so maybe we can just
the beauty of that is
the question directly to him.
He did not hear me say that as he was driving in this morning, so maybe Ramon is in a better mood now after not hearing the slight I just gave him. Now that he is here in earshot, he's making his way. I'll do play-by-play for the first time today to his seat. Kirby Allen Kirby and Robert Walsh, who are efforting the 104.5 The Zone TV stream, which will be up here very momentarily, here with video from Asencion St. Thomas Sports Park. And they are giving him a headset final instructions. Ramon has made it around
There
all
it
of the
is.
road closed signs. Ramon, first of all, welcome. Good morning.
You know what?
You in traffic,
I
man.
know. A little PTSD because all I can think of, I'm going to be fined. You can't miss practice,
All right,
be
so
late for practice.
This was the first question I had for you is don't worry about how we are going to handle a tardy entrance on day one. How would Mike Tomlin handle you being late on day one of training camp?
He got to a point where guys started getting paid and stuff like that and just simply said, I'm going to hit you in your pockets.
Sure.
He knew that guys were like insanely in shape most of the time. We speak about that all the time. Like guys are in shape, right?
Fair
So
enough.
the best way to get a guy is not to run him, because if you run me and you make me tired, then I'm useless to you, right? So he said, all right, I'll just see it in your paycheck. So it would be that simple, man. It really got to that point. And it was even before I even had a second contract. I was out here really just trying to make it happen for the world, you know? So it was a pride thing. And for him, he took the emotions out because he just tell the finance department, hey, dock him for $1,500.
So did you ever get docked?
I'm never late.
So you never got
I never
a fine.
was late. Ever was late. I never missed a plane. I never did any of those things, man. I wasn't a goody two shoes, but I wasn't about to lose
Right.
my
Well,
money.
exactly.
You know what I'm
Especially like you said, going undrafted, those things stick in the
Yeah.
back of your mind is like, I got to
But
make sure I'm always on time.
I was one of those ones on the way to the plane or the way to practice, like I was already working out by now.
Right.
So that was my schedule. Get in before the young guys get in, because what y'all will see now, as opposed to maybe we'll be out here as far when the first cuts happen.
Sure.
It's crowded. You don't realize 90 to 75 and then 75 to 53 how much more room you will have.
Truth.
So on the practice in the weight room, it's rookies in there. It's guys that just want to play music and dance and lift at the same time. I'm like, bro, we're trying to get to the dumbbells, man. Like,
Right?
move, get up out the way. So I was mostly an early morning dude when it came to, like, I was up at 5:15.
Yeah,
so that's
I'd
why the
be
morning
too.
show ain't crazy for me. Like, we were up at 5:15 and we had to walk to the weight room because we were on the college campus.
Right. Because
So-
you guys were off site for training camp.
Man, I'll never forget. So I got one story real quick.
Well,
So-
I mean, it's all right. We'll
He's
take
a
it.
Hendersonville native. Coach Drake was our wide receivers coach, and every day is one of those things that, like, you are family, right? Daryl Drake is his name. His family's in Hendersonville, man. Shout out to them. It's a somewhat somber story real quick, but these early mornings we would get up. He was a wide receiver coach. Me and Marquise would get up and walk over to the weight room. It was probably like a 5 to 7 minute, maybe 10-minute walk over to the weight room. Coach Drake used to meet us coming back, and he just always, y'all can't catch the club in the tub, like joking us that we weren't up earlier than him. And man, in a twist of events, he passed away in training camp.
You're kidding.
Yes, we had a coach pass away in training camp in one of the dorms,
Goodness.
man. And the only reason I bring it up respectfully is his family lives in Hendersonville. They buried him here also,
Yeah.
too. So we had that go on, but we're routine. We're family. We see athletes don't switch up, right?
No.
We don't switch up. It's the same thing every single day. And I never forget, we was like, where's Coach Drake at? He ain't out here talking trash to us or nothing. And when we had to make that walk right after,
That
like
event,
2 days
yeah.
past, it was so weird, man. So much so, we broke camp early.
Really?
We was just like, we got to get away from training. We got to get away from the troll, man. So, again, these early mornings, man, guys that catch routines, that was a crazy story right there. Never imagined something like that happening in training camp. But it was a unique situation. So, condolences still to his family. It was around this time of camp, too, midway through. So, super unique situation. But I'll take my fine. It was, if you're on 65 South coming into the city, they pretty much made a funnel.
What was it then?
It's
Yeah,
too
go ahead
far
and
right.
leave more time this
okay.
morning.
Right
Okay.
lane is blocked off. They were just picking that car up, and then there was another car on the inside lane near the wall that was, I'm talking about on 4 flats. Like, I don't know what kind of accident
Goodness.
it was or whether this
Jeez.
car was just a Lego car, but it broke apart bad, and the police is still over there. So give yourself time if you're up and listen to
Look
us
at
on
that
the app.
traffic report.
I know, man.
And that's traffic in your home for Titans
Right?
football. 104.5 The Zone.
That was actually accurate.
615-737-1045. It was from this morning. Coming
Nice.
up, we will tell you everything you need to know from yesterday's report day at Tennessee Titans training camp, what the GM, what the head coach had to say, who will be on the field and who will likely not be on the field this morning. That is next as we broadcast live Tennessee Titans training camp. Football is back. We'll get you what you need to know from report day coming up next.
If you're all feeling tired, lacking motivation and drive, gaining weight, or noticing a lack of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone. Well, listen, don't wait. Find out. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your T levels checked, and it's just a simple blood test, and with their on-site lab, you'll get your results back in about 25 minutes. Low T Center is not your typical doctor's office. Their physicians specialize in treating low testosterone with customized treatments for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have over a decade of experience helping patients achieve life-changing results, and most health insurance is accepted for this treatment. For established patients also with stable T levels, they also offer a convenient physician-monitored self-inject treatment plan that ships directly to your home each month without the need to come in for weekly visits. And at Low T Center, your BMI and health can be evaluated for treatment with prescription weight loss medication. So, get back to your best. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's Low T Center. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Live from Asencion St. Thomas Sports Park, it is Tennessee Titans training camp, practice number 1. With Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, I'm Will Bowling, streaming live on 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. The F&M Bank chat is open for business. As we broadcast to you today, looking at football fields. Ramon, do you feel any anxiety, any nerves? I saw a tweet yesterday that said, when you're playing, there's nothing you hate more than training camp, and then when you retire, there's nothing you miss more than training camp. I'm going to call cap on that.
Yeah, just a little bit, because it was probably a wide receiver or DB.
Or Aaron Rodgers.
Or Aaron Rodgers that put that tweet out there. What I will say, I immediately when I retired, I didn't know I was going to get this job so quick in sports media, right? But I did. I will say I had visions of going back to training camp and seeing, like, the team practice. Like, just to say, I don't miss this. Like, that was my first thought is I can't wait to get back to training camp, and here I am, just a different avenue. Only thing that sucks, though, is these morning practices, and they're out here mowing already, is when that dew is on your cleats and your feet get wet. Mm-hmm. Oh, my gosh. When we had, like, true two-a-days, I sound like an old guy screaming at the sky again. When we had true
when I was a boy.
When I was a boy, the old 22-year-old, that's 16 years ago now. Jeez.
I was going to say, I'm not that far removed from that, so choose your words very carefully.
Yeah, I know. But I was of the mindset of just like, golly, this sucks, because your shoes get wet, then they get bogged down, and then practice sucks because you can't move the way you want to, and then next thing you know, you got blisters. So,
that because it's like the watery ones too.
Oh my God.
That's the most uncomfortable thing.
It is,
and it is a little bit. It is a little bit humid out here this morning.
It is.
So we definitely feel it out here.
Yeah.
We were told, I think, before you got here, we were told by Kirby, we will not be giving weather reports because we don't want to jinx anything. So that is something we won't do. But we're trying to paint the picture for you as best as we can this morning. The guys get out here around 9 o'clock. So.
Yeah, I do miss the sight of it. I can say that, though, like what training camp means. I can't wait to see what it looks like when the young guys come out, and we'll be able to spot the young guys. They'll look like baby does. You know what I'm saying? Just don't know where to go, how to operate, and what to be. So
you know the trick for wet shoes, by the way?
No.
Have we talked about this?
No.
Didn't you say?
No.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, newspaper. That's right.
What do you mean?
You put newspaper in your shoes, and they will perfectly dry overnight.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because you did that.
I've done it all the time. Yeah.
See, that's like a runner
That's a runner trick. Yeah. It would work for cleats, too, though. Like, it works for anything.
Why not?
Literally, that's a pro tip for the people. I'll give you that one free of charge since we're before 7 a.m. this morning.
Yeah, okay.
If you put crumbled up newspaper in your wet shoes, they will dry without having to, like, put them in the dryer.
Yeah.
Never. If you ever put shoes in the dryer, I swear.
Oh,
we're gonna have words.
I've had that. I've had that happen.
We're going to be better now.
Had that happen.
We're going to be better.
Be real with you.
And it was really loud.
I did it in high school, but, like many things, we leave high school, we grow, we age, we mature, we make better life decisions.
We become wise,
I'm going to help you do that.
Yeah.
615-737-1045, our number this morning. Let's start with some audio from Asencion St. Thomas Sports Park yesterday. Brian Callahan ran Carthon meeting with the media. We've got a ton of info that we received, and Kayla mentioned it. She's 100% right to start the show, that you get good answers when you ask questions to this regime. That's certainly the case to begin camp. We'll see if it continues when things get tough and guys get hurt and you lose games and whatnot. But the pup guys, the injured guys, two of them who specifically will not be out here today. This was Brian Callahan on that yesterday.
Two things just to start. Pup players that'll start out that way will be Colton Dow, obviously he'd be on reserve pup to start, still coming off his ACL. And then MPF will be on the active pup, which would be, a couple of days as we start. So just to clarify for him, just so everybody's on the same page, his injury is not, his pup is not related to his shoulder. His shoulder has been cleared, is healed. It's related to a cleanup. He had a cleanup surgery in the offseason after the first couple weeks of our program, and had a little issue to clean up, and really that's what that is. And so he's just coming off of that. Should be good in a few days' time, but he'll start officially on the active pup. So other than that, everyone else is cleared and healthy and ready to roll. So we're in a pretty good place health-wise. We'll have some guys that we manage over the course of training camp in terms of load and guys that are a little bit older and all that stuff. But other than that, we were healthy going into camp, which is where you want to be, and I'm excited to get rolling. So let it rip.
Cleanup surgery, shoulder surgery?
No. I did not clarify. Sorry, it was a knee cleanup.
Yep.
There he is. Brian Callahan yesterday. Concern levels for NPF are where?
Where you at on this one, Kayla? He was in there yesterday. Did he have a apprehension on his face?
No, not at all. And
Yeah.
I'm just really, really glad that they made it clear that this was not the shoulder. That is what we literally spoke about this yesterday on our show.
Yeah.
And for them to finally clear that up, I thought was important because I have not had my knee scoped or anything or cleaned out. You have, so you can tell me the timetable on that. But I think because it wasn't the shoulder, I almost feel a little bit more relieved that has been healing for some time now, and that's not necessarily what kept him off the field in terms of the knee scope. That's what kept him off the field, and why he's on the active PUP list. And that's the thing. It's not going to be probably 2-3 days before we see him out here. I mean, I'm hoping, because that's what Callahan said.
Yeah.
He specified active. So if that's the case, if he misses 2-3 days, okay, I'm okay with that. But if this starts to linger on, then yes, that's a major red flag at that point.
Yeah, so I'll give context to what a scope is. Like, you can still see it on my right knee. I got I see 2 holes. I'm looking for the third one also, but it's really like a needle that goes in. They don't have to cut you, don't have to slice you, anything like that. They go in and clean up whatever is there. It could be a loose body. It could be also, it depends upon, like, whenever I got my knee cleaned up, they also shaved the back of my kneecap too, so just to make it smooth over with some edginess or some jaggedness right there also. So that's what, if he had that, go in and clean and tidy something up and scrape the back of the kneecap. That kid, for me, it was probably 2 weeks before I was running, then like a third week of really getting acclimated to stuff like that. And during all of that time, it is strengthening, band work, quick flexion type of stuff, activating the VMOs around the knee and the hamstring and everything else, and making sure that whatever side didn't have surgery on, it's also just as strong as the other side. So it's timing to get that strength back. It's not super bad. It could be anywhere from 2 weeks to a month. 2 weeks to 4 weeks to get back to feeling normal. I did it in the off season, like early spring, and I was fine. It could be somewhat achy after that. But to me, my concern level, because we said this isn't a guy that can afford to be off, considering what this team needs at right tackle.
Yeah.
So I'm probably, if we're talking about 0 to 100, I'm 80 out of 100.
Really?
Okay.
So
you're
8 out of 10.
You're a little bit
concern.
more concerned.
Very much so.
And my question, too, was I don't know why this wasn't maybe done earlier then.
Probably didn't feel it. It was one, again.
So that's,
here's the
that's
thing
why I'm
too,
asking
right?
the questions,
Is we're most athletes, most people. Let me say this. Let me go back before we say even that.
Yep.
Most men, don't utilize the doctors and don't feel pain.
Yeah.
And don't report pain the way we should.
I get it.
Psychologically, more times than not, he's probably thinking to himself, "Dang, I've already had the shoulder.
Sure.
I don't want to go back and say I'm hurt again." And he probably had been dealing with that knee. Most bigs have a knee issue or something of some sort, usually in their career anyway. It's think about it, 300-pounders pounding, all the squats you do, all the running you do, all the jumping you do, something is going to happen. And for him, being young, not really a concern, but I'm side-eyeing him. I'll be honest with you, because, again, there has been something every single year.
Right.
Whether it be his fault or whether it be somebody else's fault over the course of a game, right?
Yeah.
It's always something.
For NPF?
Yeah.
He was fully healthy year one.
Well, what has he been since?
Well, I know. He's only had 2 years, though.
But he's also got to have a first impression on this coaching staff to get on the field. That's my thing.
The whole point was, though, like the positive for NPF was his rookie year, like, he was the only guy that was totally available.
Yeah.
That
was a skill that he had. Yeah.
He wasn't even supposed to win that right tackle position. It was supposed to be Dylan Radins.
But as far as a first impression, like, he's going to have to come out here running.
Yeah.
It just feels like as long as he is here when Pats come on, he's still in decent shape, right?
But the thing is, we don't know what that timeline looks like as far as him getting on the field when Pats come on.
That's fair.
Yeah.
He's got to be like a full practice participant when pads come on,
Oh, wow.
versus just, on the side field or
Yep.
doing stuff that we can't, technically officially report on once that starts.
We should. It sounds like they're saying he's going to active recovery. If it's been longer than 2 weeks, he's probably already running.
Yeah.
Because that scope is just a matter of getting the pain out first. Because I thought a scope was just like, oh, yeah, it's just a nice quick cleanup. Because guys that had it before
And I'm
me.
glad you described that because
Yeah.
not everybody gets what a scope is.
Yeah, guys before me made it sound like, oh, you'll be back in 2
Yeah.
weeks. And usually you are. But, of course, you got to account for the weight. You got to account for if they shave the back of the kneecap, a multitude of things. But if he's running out here, I feel a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
It does come back to, all right, what is the knee going to feel and react like after he pushes on people?
Chris on Twitter tweets us at Ramon Kayla Will. Why are we putting so much stock into NPF? Between the injuries and suspension, he has missed so much valuable football. I think the answer is because as of today, he's your starting right tackle.
Yeah.
That's why we're putting stock into it.
'Cause
He's the only starter that is injured and going to miss the start of training camp. So
Yeah.
it's the big story from yesterday, in my opinion.
Chris,
Yeah.
you must not know what this team looked like last year, right? At that position, like you need as many.
That's right.
I guess the problem, the point of all of this is, Chris, and anybody else, you need as many healthy guys as you possibly can to be in competition with one another.
Yeah.
Because if we believe iron sharpens iron, right? And if we believe NPF as a former third-rounder, guy that's played 16 straight games, can compete and go up against Leroy Watson, right?
Sure.
If we can have
Jaron
that be a
Christian.
thing,
Yeah.
right? If we can have that versus Jalen Duncan, and all three of them get shared amount of reps, can compete against one another, and at the end we can say, hey, either NPF won, Dylan Radins won, like Jalen Duncan, then we got to use it and say that's the best guy at that spot.
Yeah.
If NPF isn't in that competition, or he's somewhat on the back burner of that competition because he can't get healthy, then we'll be forever during the season. Well, if the right tackle doesn't work, man, we got to put in NPF. We don't know what NPF looks like because of the competition or lack of practices. Like, this is how you build a team. Training camp is to break you down to build you back up. And it starts with those 3 or 4 guys that's got competition at right tackle.
And he's got probably the most starting experience overall. I mean, you look at Leroy Watson, he might have a little bit more, but other than that, you've got Jalen Duncan, John Ajuku, who also is kind of new to this whole scene. I mean, he was an undrafted guy that came in last year and played a little bit. But other than that, that was the guy taking really first reps during OTAs and mandatory minicamp. So, yeah, that's why Nicholas Petit-Frere is important to this equation, guys.
For sure.
Leroy Watson, you got it, Will? Starts?
Go for it.
None.
There we go.
7 games. I think
Okay.
he's played in reserve
Sure.
roles, but none. Even though he was with Coach Callahan, yes, he's played in some games. But his overall snap count in 2023 was 23 offensive reps.
Yeah, 33 pass block snaps, according to Pro
Yeah.
Football Focus.
Yep.
So the need to compete is there, is what we're saying.
Yeah, sure. On the safety front yesterday, Rand Carthon commented on whether or not he is still looking to add at that position. We'll get to Brian Callahan's comments on it too, but this was the GM on the safety position yesterday.
I mean, we're looking at other people at all positions. We were just talking, about bringing some guys in just to kick some tires and, see where guys are. Our roster isn't set. Obviously, we don't have to have the roster set until September, so we're always looking to improve at every position.
Do you think Adam fits on this team, and maybe what role do you envision for him this year?
He's definitely fit. Obviously, it's the early part of his career, he was under Denard. Now, Denard wasn't the coordinator per se, but someone that he's very familiar with as well as Steve Jackson and Frank Bush. And so we have the opportunity to bring a guy in who's played at a very high level in this league, and we feel that, we keep him healthy and get him out there on the field. He can continue to make those plays. And, a guy like Hook, having Hook, still here gives us the versatility to bring guys in, whether it's a strong or a free, because Hook can play an interchangeable spot.
How big a concern is that recent health history?
I mean, it's always a concern. That's one of the things when we're talking about bringing guys in, and A-Rob is, and BG, all those guys we're looking at the health. That's the main thing. There have been guys here that we've brought in to sign and just couldn't get to that point where we felt comfortable with the health. I think the way our deal is structured with them, it's a prove it deal for us and a prove it deal for him. And I know Jamal, I know how he's intrinsically wired. He wants to prove to the world and to everybody that he can stay healthy and still play at a high level. And it's our job, as a training staff with Todd and Matt and Mike and those guys to make sure he's out there on the field as much as possible.
There's Rand Carthon yesterday talking with the media. You like that answer about the health stuff?
I do, and I think they may have been Buck asking about his health.
Yep.
Over the last couple of years, and he said it's always going to be the case. I'm glad he acknowledged this, too, that, heck, it's a prove-it deal. He knows that. Jamal Adams knows that. The team knows that. And, heck, from the beginning, whenever we got the numbers, I think everybody somewhat knew that, hey, this is if you're that type of guy that can stay healthy for this team, one, you'll be able to help it, because there's one thing we can't deny as far as what his strong skill set is from what we know or what we hear Denard Wilson's defense is going to be like. He's going to be utilized big time as far as blitzing, as far as run support, as far as setting a tone for physicality. And if he does that well, man, that's money well spent. I mean, we're still talking about over $1 million salary for a guy that's coming off an injury.
Yeah, this is really interesting, too. And I don't know if this really specifically speaks to this Jamal Adams signing, just because it is a one-year deal. And this is a guy that, hey, why not sign him and see what you can do in this Denard Wilson defense? But what I will say is, it's the connection with Denard Wilson, right? You're looking at a lot of these guys that they've brought in over the past few months. A lot of them are connected to the assistants, Denard Wilson, Brian Callahan. And I asked Ren Carthon about this yesterday, and just the trust factor that is being put on a lot of these other guys to bring in their guys. And you know what? That's where it's all going to be interesting to see how it works out, because some of these are risks that you're taking to bring in the guys that you know and that you're familiar with.
Like a Kenneth Murray.
Exactly. Yeah. And we'll see how those play out. Some of them might work, some of them might not. But I do think it's interesting when it's all said and done and we look back at kind of the way they put this new team together. How much does that pay off? And you don't have really other ways to do it. This is the way they chose to do it, but it is interesting.
I also want to see at the end of this, you bring up a point. It's like, all right, how do we judge their batting percentage after this? After this year, as far as do we judge them, especially for a Kenneth Murray type, right? It's a Jamal Adams signing, good enough. Like, everybody's judged in this profession. And I think the batting average of everybody, players, offensive linemen, D linemen, quarterbacks, is always on display. And if they do well, I mean, the trust factor, there will be grace given, I would think, as far as moves being made in the future. You just don't want to Shad Khan this thing.
Yeah.
That's right. Move it to London? Is that what you mean?
Moving or signing everybody else's free agents every year.
Perfect.
Yeah.
615-737-1045. How you join us if you want to talk Titans this morning as we broadcast live from Titans training camp. What Brian Callahan had to say about Will Levis's growth and leadership heading into camp, despite the invitation that I guess is still in the mail for him to also head to Cabo. That's coming up next this morning on Ramon Kalen and Will.
Buying a diamond, if you're not properly educated, is hard. If you're not careful, you can overpay big time. Small variations in diamonds' quality specs can make a huge difference in its value. That's why I always recommend Genesis Diamonds. Genesis Diamonds education is second to none. They will teach you the secrets of the industry. They will explain how diamonds are priced on the world market. Their non-commissioned experts will make sure you are a savvy buyer, even if you decide to shop somewhere else. It's fine. These days, this is so important, especially if you are considering buying a lab-grown diamond. Let Genesis reveal the truth behind this recent trend and show you all the info on how lab-grown diamonds are being overpriced in so many places. Bottom line, Genesis is your source for the best information as well as the best value for both natural and lab-grown. Whether you are buying a diamond for the first time or upgrading to a large, rare investment-grade diamond, Genesis will make sure you don't make a mistake. Genesis Diamond, where the focus is always on honesty, transparency, education, quality, and value. So don't buy a diamond until you learn the ins and outs from Genesis. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
So many people trust Two Rivers Ford. Football players, working moms, business owners. Why? Because Two Rivers Ford has been doing business with integrity for decades. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer.
Wrapping up hour number 1 already this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, live from Tennessee Titans training camp. Guys, real quick, I did watch Barbie for the first time a few weeks ago.
Stop.
Was I hear this song?
It's a good movie.
Stop.
It was, I would give it a 6.5 out of 10, which is a solid grade.
Because of what?
I would watch it again.
Because of what? Why a 6 out
Dua
of 10?
Lipa was in it.
I don't know. Margot Robbie is pretty much the centerpiece there. Dang.
What's my guy
That's
from
fair.
Kentucky, the rapper? Dua Lipa.
Jack Harlow?
Jack Harlow. He's got a song called Dua Lipa. I didn't realize she was that much of a fox.
It was funny. My girlfriend had already.
Is that a good thing?
Peyton Fox is a good thing.
I know. I feel like that's such an old school saying.
Peyton had already seen
Such a
it,
fox.
and I was like, as it was starting, I was like, "Oh, Dua Lipa's in this," and she was like, "No, she's not." I was like, "Peyton, she is." And about 5 minutes later, she was like, "Oh, wow, yeah, there's Dua Lipa."
You updated her on that.
And like an Italian describing long jump, just Dua Lipa. 615-737-1045 is our number.
There's a lawnmower. Just lay down in
There's a
front of it,
lake,
okay?
all right? Don't submerge me yet. The morning is young. Brian Callahan yesterday talking about Will Levis says 3 attributes we want to see from him day 1: accuracy, timing, and decision making. This was the full quote from the head coach yesterday.
Will's in a really good place. I'm excited about what he's going to play like. I'm excited to see it, but it's more just about playing on time. Is getting that timing back. The accuracy, the timing, and decision making are sort of the 3 things that you look for, especially early on, and try to get that developed as quickly as possible. Kind of get back into the flow, and so those would be what I'm looking for. And I think that having Will, the work that he put in, how he looks right now is exciting, and now we got to go do it.
There he is. Got to go do it.
Yeah, immediately those are the things that have to pop for a quarterback. And I'm glad he said this too. Whenever he get his time and feet underneath him, right? Like working for accuracy is a thing. Like if y'all know, I'm into baseball big time, and like watching pitchers warm up, that's one of the ones that I think that can correlate to a quarterback is accuracy, right? Like you got to watch them warm up. It can be high, it can be low, out and in, first and then over time, before they hop on the mound, they dial it in finally, and that's where you got to look at Will Levis's. One, the injection of adrenaline, being around all the teammates, the feet and bodies moving around them. Like there is a processing of getting back to feeling the ball leave his hand, and also the routes and the speed of his receivers. Like this is such a beautiful process, y'all. Mm-hmm. Now I'm reminiscing a little bit. Okay,
It's like the first day of school. Everyone has an A.
Yeah.
You enter the school
And
for
it
the
can
first time.
quickly dip.
Yeah,
It can quickly dip.
It better not for Will Levis.
Well,
right?
and on that note, though,
Yeah.
speaking of taking risks and maybe, trying to do some things here in camp that you're obviously not going to possibly do in a game, but seeing what works and what you're comfortable with, that is something that Brian Callahan also answered a question to yesterday. And he specifically said, look, we're going to give him some free reins to do some of that in camp. And the whole thing is, if it doesn't work out, we're going to tell him immediately after, hey, look, this isn't going to be something that is going to work in a game situation. So it looks like that is something, too, where will have a little bit of, free range of taking some risks, which I think is really important, especially for a guy like him who's trying to figure himself out as a whole as a quarterback. Like you said, not just the timing things and the accuracy, but actually like what he can start to really be comfortable with in the type of quarterback he is.
Yeah, and it starts with, doing the basics right. Like those 3 things that Callahan mentioned are the basics that he has to have every single day. And from that, you're right. You build and stack from there, man. So I'm excited for him. Again, he hasn't played a full 16. He didn't enter camp last year he ended up getting injured, I think, in Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So now he's got everything in front of him. I'm really optimistic about what he can do, given his arm talent and foot speed.
There's just such a big difference for him. Like a year ago, he was the 3rd quarterback. He was getting reps behind Malik Willis. And yesterday, Donald Page, the team photographers, posted on his Instagram story, first guy in. And it's one car in the middle of the parking garage, and it's Levis getting here first. It's the first time Levis has kind of been like the face of a team since his senior year at Kentucky. It's been 2 years since he's been kind of this guy. Like there's such a big difference for you psychologically coming into a practice, I would imagine, knowing that like everyone takes cues from you.
It's It's settling is what it is, man. By the way, I beat him in this morning. I was late, but he was.
You didn't beat us in.
I was going to say, that doesn't mean anything.
I can't get a win.
That means nothing.
Kirby Allen Kirby had 5 Pepsis.
We
by
beat
the
him in
time
by an hour then.
You beat the 65 South traffic this morning.
Did you see him or
Let
something?
Ramon be the no. You can't miss him.
Or
Like
he's
it's not like you were hiding behind a
No,
goalpost.
I was saying, did he see Levis come in after
yeah,
him?
like, what
Look at, hey man, I did this, but y'all threw tomatoes real quick.
Oh, yeah, we
Be
did.
your own people.
Yeah,
Ramon.
we
You know
did.
this better
This
than
is camp to
anybody.
me. I feel like I'm a player now. Like I'm strapped up. I'm ready to go.
Y'all are out of body right now,
No,
man.
well, we were out of our beds and out of our cars and on time this morning. So
I could be half a minute late. No, I was
look,
like
there are a
5,
lot
6
of
minutes.
there are a lot of breakfast places around here. If you want to
Yes,
pay
there
your
are.
fine today,
Yes.
there's a 40-yard dash that we can do in front of us. But if you want to keep your hamstrings intact before 7 a.m. this morning,
Chick-fil-A sounds good. No, just
we
joking.
can go ahead and schedule a breakfast after this program this
a
morning.
buffet.
This is crazy, man. I thought I could just sneak that in right
Yeah,
there.
you really
No
couldn't.
way.
So we're expected to have Rand Carthon on the show later this week.
Yep.
Potential to talk to him tomorrow. This morning we do have Ramon Carthon here. Rand, can you tell us about what the punishment will be for players who are late today, Rand?
Well, everybody's in a job interview. The eye in the sky does not lie. When we talk about guys being punctual, being pros, Ramon wasn't that today. Okay, so because of that, I'm going to hit him dead in his pockets, and I'm going to put him on display and make him run in front of everybody.
Perfect.
That'll be our first question for Rand when we get him tomorrow is can you please help us administer a fine to Ramon?
Yes.
That
But
is-
Ramon, we appreciate you. We'll be hearing from you a lot this
That
morning.
is righteousness and ratchetness
Yeah,
right,
that's right.
there. Yeah, he hit me in the pockets and also make me run.
615-737-1045, training camp day 1.
Yeah.
And yesterday, Brian Callahan did speak about guys when they will not be out on the practice field, what maintenance days look like, what veteran rest days will look like. An interesting conversation from report day yesterday as we begin hour 2. Coming up next, live from training camp at 104.5 The Zone.
It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Letting you know our friends at Hiller, they are celebrating 34 years in business this year. And they're bringing the celebration to you with their birthday bash all of this month. Yes, until July 31st, you can enjoy free smart thermostats with select new HVAC systems. You can also get a water test on your home for free. Also, see if you got some of those impurities, ways they can correct that. You just never know. Health as well. Get that water checked out inside of your home. Also, free leak detection and shutoff valves with tankless water heaters. And if you buy 10, you'll get 2 free landscaping lights, and Hiller will also help you install them. Celebrate Hiller's birthday bash all of this month. Y'all got to get in. We're on the back end of this thing, all right? But simply visit them at happyhiller.com.
You ever wonder why so many pro athletes go and use stem cell therapy? Because it works. I'm Ron Slade, retired 14-year pro basketball player, and I needed to get this done. After I went through my entire career riddled with injuries, I needed therapy. So I went to Kellum Stem Cell Institute out in Franklin. Why? Because they're the stem cell specialists. They can be yours too. They're the stem cell specialists of the Tennessee Titans. You know why? Because it works.
Make an appointment today with Kellum Stem Cell Institute.
What's going on? 7 o'clock. Good morning from Asencion St. Thomas Sports Park for Tennessee Titans training camp. I am Robert Walsh. Yesterday, Rand Carthon spoke to the media, had this to say on a potential DeAndre Hopkins extension.
We've identified a number of guys that, we'd like to continue to move forward with, and eventually take care. But you guys have heard me, we're going to keep family business in terms of talking about their contracts and what's next for them. But we as a staff, we have identified some guys that, we'd like to have here, long term.
Jacksonville extended corner Tyson Campbell to a 4-year, $76.5 million extension. 7th highest paid cornerback in the league. Highest paid cornerback who has not made a Pro Bowl. With that much money, he could buy a lot of blowers to just surround me during the entire sports update. NFC North, Vikings left tackle Christian Darrisaw signing a 4-year, $113 million extension, the $28 million per year highest annual value for any tackle in the NFL. Fell to the Vikings in the first round of the 2021 draft. Still had 2 years left on his rookie deal. Minnesota prioritized getting that deal done early. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5.
The Zone!
The Zone!
Whew.
$7 a.m. hour number 2, getting started on a beautiful Wednesday morning. Welcome in to Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW, broadcasting live from Tennessee Titans training camp 2024, where you just heard Robert Walsh tell you everything you need to know inside the eye of a hurricane to begin the 7 a.m. hour. We've got mowers going. We've got blowers that are they're blowing. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, Kirby Allen, Kirby, Robert Walsh, Reed Smith, making us sound pretty. 615-737-1045. How you jump in. The smell of fresh cut grass has me feeling very alive this morning, friends.
Yeah, I know. They should make that a candle set. I think they do make that a candle set. Fresh
they do. 100%.
Cut grass, yeah.
Usually you get like an evergreen tree kind of vibe. I have a rewards membership at Yankee Candle, so I would be happy
so they do have,
to get you some. Yeah,
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm a big scent guy. Look,
Yeah.
I understand as a mid-20s male, I just naturally smell really
You
badly.
need scents.
We all know that one person in our lives that just needs to take a hint. They need to smell better. And so
Yeah.
I try to get out ahead of it.
I wonder if we should go around the
and have a Yankee
circle
Candle
here.
membership. It's really great.
We should go around the circle and share that.
New
No,
York
never mind.
Yankees, bad. Yankee Candle, good.
You are so petty.
Thank you so much.
You are so
There is also, are there like
friggin'
mosquitoes
petty,
out
dude.
here?
They're called no-see-ums, as Bert has just
is
informed
that what
us.
those are?
Enlighten us, Bert.
those
Bert,
are
yeah,
no
could
see-ums.
please
gnats?
elaborate on what in the world is around us
So no see.
with your
Every
microphone
time
on.
he talks,
Yankee
the
can
blower
talk.
gets loud.
Right?
I did pay him to follow me around, kind of
Oh,
like the
good.
tuba guy.
Yes.
No see-ums. They're called that because you don't really see them until they're in your eyes and on
Perfect.
your legs and around you. They're not mosquitoes. They're
Man.
kind of like gnats. But my dad just always called them no see-ums.
Anyone who has run for more than a mile in humidity like this, I would probably have 30 of those just on me.
Love that.
On myself after like a long run back in the day. Oh,
Love it.
Things are
Anyway.
Since we're giving
nasty.
useless facts, I got one. I gotta say it, okay? So you love the smell of cut grass. You, thank you. Got my
Ramon
rain
Foster, big
jacket.
man on campus.
Yes,
Everybody
my
just
Got his rain jacket
Got my
because
rain
he
jacket.
also
Already-
can't keep track of his
Hey, that
clothing.
He's
thing-
already
was
kissing hands and shaking babies out here at training camp. Hasn't even started
Well,
yet.
guy got it. Hey, that thing is expensive. Okay, I left it at the stadium one day. Remember,
Yeah.
it was raining and I lost it. So yes, I got my rain jacket back.
Things that you will learn this year now.
This is what happens when we go on the
Since you're not
wild
a
right here.
first-timer.
Okay, we get a little sun, a little vitamin D. I'm vitamin D deficient, by the way. I got to get more sun. I did my
Was that
blood
your
test.
useless info?
No.
Or do
I
we
just-
still not have the
I mean,
useless
it's
info?
still-
He's full of it.
All right, I got you. What? The smell of grass is actually the grass screaming. That's what that is. It's
Okay.
Look it up. It's the reaction. The smell is because the grass got cut.
What
and
in
it's
the hell?
releasing its like emergency sensors, so you're smelling grass. I know, man. My guy John Davis is gonna hear this, and he's gonna be like, "You're right.
You know
That's my
what?
grass guy,
You know
not that lawn grass guy."
Ramon is right. Sometimes if you listen really
You got to turn on your mic, amateur.
Well, look.
It is on. It's just not on
Very low.
Listen, I'm trying to tell you, amateur. They want to call me an amateur.
I got to.
Like I was
more.
Like I was saying,
Eat the mic.
Sometimes if you listen really closely,
sakes.
you can hear it. Shh. Was my mic on then? Jerk.
615-737-1045.
Give me a little bit, man. Give me a little bit. That's
Is
my
our number. We're having a grass kicking to begin hour number
Yes, there's
2.
lots of grass jokes in the chat.
So yesterday, Brian Callahan spoke about maintenance days and was asked specifically about his own philosophies when it comes to veterans having a day, veterans like Jeffrey Simmons not being out here, and he had this to say yesterday.
The thing is, they all need the football work when the pads come on, and you only get so many padded practices, and so there's a time and a place for all the guys to need work, and I think that even guys like Hop and Jeffrey have played a long time and been very successful players. They still need the work to get ready to play. NFL football on Sundays in the regular season. So we'll balance that. I mean, there's definitely guys that'll have a little bit of maybe a period off or some reps off or even a day off here and there as the camp goes along. But the way the schedules are nowadays and the way the camp is, it's a lot different than it used to be. So, you manage guys as they need it, but they also need the work too.
He went on to kind of give us more info about, like, there are times that during practice that everyone's got the GPS, they've got the heart rate sensors and things, and you talk to anybody in a pro sport. I've talked to Nashville SC people about this, of like there are numbers that tell you how much a guy is exerting himself during practice, and you can literally, the eye in the sky can say, all right, he's in the red for a little bit too long, get him out of there. How much of that did you have? I'm not calling you old, Ramon, but how much of that technology did you guys have in Pittsburgh?
Not a whole lot. I ended up getting, I think it was around like year 8 for us.
Because a lot of it is very new.
It is. And there's certain brands out there. The one that we use, I know Catapult is one of those companies that do the GPS tracking and stuff. There's a lot of them. What's funny about that is it was a former UT strength and conditioning coach that was selling the program to the Steelers.
Come on.
Whenever we got there, man. And it was unique because most football teams are old school. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just want to beat you down. They just want to, hey, if you practice hard, that means you got better. Well, we started GPSing a couple of the wide receivers, and we were learning those dudes was running like 6 miles per practice, which is way too much. And what happens is, in the case of Aaron Rodgers, if this makes it soft, then, I had to go there, right?
You did.
I had to. Kayla, that was for you right there, okay?
I don't like him.
I know. That was for you right there, okay? With that being said, though, this is where we're talking about, like, ownership teams, franchises having the ability to get the maximum amount out of their guys. Like, one of those guys that was running like 6-7 miles in practice was Antonio Brown. They had to tell him, like, hey, we got to shut you down. By Sunday, you don't feel it now, but by the time we get to week 12, you're not going to be as good as you think you are. So if that's what's making football soft, to where you can get the best performance out of your guys because you're GPS tracking them. I heard Callahan say yesterday, Coach Brian Callahan say, if you hit that red line in practice, they're going to shut you down. Mm-hmm. And that, I think, is smart. One, that shows guys are working hard. They're prepared, but it also shows this. The team understands what makes things work. Like, I love a great coach. Absolutely. If you are a coach, like a coach's coach, y'all know what I mean by those guys, I love you to death, because there's a lot that you know that can tell, and you've seen guys do stuff. But one that will embrace technology and understand that, look, I need to be able to get the maximum amount out of my guys, and if that means I got to shut this guy down the last 2 periods of practice for the betterment of this team, I'm all for that, Will. But I didn't get but like maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 years of that. And some guys wear the bands around the chest.
Yeah, right.
For most of the offensive linemen, there is a pack, and you might see it. It's like a little fob. It's like a restaurant fob they put in the back of the jerseys. And they can tell how quick you're running, how much you're running. They can even tell how high you're jumping and the force that you have, like, leaving out of your stance. That's where it became, I don't want to go deeper into this, but that's where it can somewhat become problematic for guys. Because if I see you in year 4 and your force off the ground is 1,000, and by year 7, you're teetering at like 600. Like, then they can start looking at those analytics and judging you based off of, hey, he's starting to slow down. We need to either reevaluate his contract or get rid of him. So there's a lot that goes into it. Like, it even shows O-line, D-line force of hitting each other. Like, that's some of the information that's out there on top of the leg work and stuff.
Sure.
So
I think it's interesting just overall in terms of how he's going to manage his players, because we saw under Mike Vrabel the way he kind of believed in managing older players and guys like DeAndre Hopkins even last year coming in. And look, I can say firsthand, DeAndre Hopkins wasn't at every single practice participating from start to finish, but he was in every game day, and he was making a difference on the field. And that's some of the things that Mike Vrabel was like, this is how I'm going to do things. And if it works, it works. And that was kind of his thing throughout his tenure here. Now Brian Callahan comes in. And I think you have to also set the tone with how you're managing players. You can't just be like from the start, hey, guys, you can take this day off. And he's got to kind of have a way to communicate this is what he expects, at least in the beginning. And then you kind of get to see, okay, these players really do need a couple days off during the week. But I think it'll be interesting how that all plays out, because we were so set. And when we knew Jeffrey Simmons was going to be out here during practice a week, when DeAndre Hopkins was going to be out here, when Derrick Henry was going to be out there, we knew the days that they were off and the days they were on. It'll be interesting to see now how Brian Callahan kind of manages that.
And some of the guys they brought up too, like if Jeff is out, there's a lot, and I'm sure we're going to speak about it at some point, but the young D linemen that need help, like that need work on days that Jeffrey is out or Sebastian Joseph Day is out. I know they mentioned Quinn Bohanna, Keandre Coburn, and like Marlon Davidson. Like, these are dudes that don't need Jeff out there some days, because you need to see what they're going to be like in those settings, because that can be your second wave of D linemen during the course of the game.
Brian did say yesterday that L'Jarius Sneed will be handled differently.
Yeah.
Just considering, and he basically said this word for word, that is how they had a plan in place to make sure he played essentially every play last season, where he was only unavailable for one game, and it was when Kansas City rested starters in Week 18. So expectation is that we won't see L'Jarius Sneed as much as we will see maybe anyone else on this team, but there's not really a lot of reason for concern about that. So see if he's out here today.
Yeah, we will, man. Should be on day one.
I would imagine so.
Yeah,
I would imagine so.
If not, he'll at least do some individual drills or something, right?
Yeah.
Coming up live from Titans training camp, we'll take a look at what we are most interested to watch this morning as the Titans hit the practice field for the first time in 2024 camp. We'll hear from Brian Callahan talking about the right side of his offensive line. And Ron Slay, if you're out there, turn up your radio, because Rand Carthon talked about Treylon Burks.
Oh, jeez.
We'll do that next. Hey, what's up? It's Will Bowling. To all my facility managers out there, is your HVAC system keeping up with the summer heat? Well, no matter your commercial air conditioning problem, the team at Lee Company is here to help. They've got a ton of experience helping business owners, facility managers. For over 80 years, their expert team has been here to make your life easier and keep your place of business running efficiently. That means less downtime, more long-term savings, and a strategic partner you can rely on. That's what you get when you trust Lee Company like I do. You get a partner, and you get a partner that's going to be there the moment something doesn't work the way that it is supposed to. Available 24/7, 365. You got to call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or contact them online at leecompany.com. Again, that's 615-567-1000. For all the facility managers out there, make sure your HVAC system is keeping up with the summer heat. Or contact them online at leecompany.com. Professional air conditioning solutions for any type of facility. 615-567-1000. That's Lee Company. All you need. Day one of Tennessee Titans training camp live here, not from 2014 Forest Hills Drive, but from Asencion St. Thomas Sports Park. Reed gets my music taste.
The whole world.
Reed Smith making the show happen back in our 104.5 The Zone studios. Kirby Allen Kirby and Robert Walsh, our parental supervision here at the practice field. What are you most interested to watch this morning as practice begins?
You know where I lay my head at, man. It's
where's Bertha and Olga?
Exactly. My eyes are on the bigs, man. But I will say I want to see what the flow. No. There's a bigger show in town that we're leaving off this list, man. Or I hadn't mentioned, and that's Denard Wilson. Will hadn't seen it. Kayla, you've seen it. His intensity, Will. Let me just say this, and his professional wordplay that he uses. All right, while being out here, he is good at fussing.
Is he a skilled cusser?
Oh my!
It's not as bad though as the Mike Vrabel regime. I'll tell you that much.
Oh no, Kayla! I saw him one day. I was over there on that O-line sled, and I was just like, hey, that man right there, he know how to curse.
It felt like if Vrabel had the like Midwestern, like Ohio cursing skill. That's certainly unique.
You could hear him from across the field.
You could. See, I'm used to Butch Jones' practices at Tennessee where he would just have a big microphone and he would still yell, but the microphone could pick you up. But obviously, these coaches have jobs and have had success in their careers, so they don't need things like that.
Meanwhile, Brian Callahan, good luck trying to find him because he blends in with everybody else. So it is interesting because, you're so used to Mike Vrabel. He's just a huge dude.
Yeah.
Brian is obviously not that guy who's cussing out players, at least when he doesn't need to be, he's not going to be.
Yeah.
He kind of blends in. So it always takes me a second to find the head coach now.
And by the way, I don't want to make it seem like there's nothing bad or super special that they're very verbal like that. Yeah, that's in most, I'd probably say in about 95% of coaching, at every level, there is somebody that uses profanity. So this isn't berating your guys.
They're grown men. I mean, you can. I don't know. I feel like it's like what Joe Burrow said on Pardon My Take a few weeks ago. Like, I feel like we should be able to taunt each other because y'all have no idea the way we talk to each other in our own locker rooms.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Yes, sir. But mine is the bigs and watch Denard Wilson do work out here.
The bigs in terms of offensive
O-line,
line.
D-line.
Any bigs specifically?
Man, I'll be honest with you. Coburn, Bohannon, Tavondre Sweat.
I was going to say, you're not going to start the list with Tavondre Sweat?
No, because we...
No,
where's
it's
that horse
all right.
at? I know. Where's that horse at is where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like he's in the lake over here, all right? It's like we beat that horse to death, man. So I somewhat want to move. I ain't going to move off of that one. I don't really want to dive into it because everybody knows exactly what it is until we see some real tangible things.
That's what the people want to dive into.
Well, now we're going to get the real tangible stuff, though. You know what I'm saying? So that and the interior, the middle three also in the offensive line. Center, guard, and guard.
Center guard triangle.
Yeah, center guard triangle.
Yeah, I think that will be the storyline throughout camp. I mean, you heard Brian Callahan say it yesterday on that right side specifically. That is going to be a battle that goes down to the wire. For me, I'm just looking at the guys that I didn't get to see during mandatory minicamp. And, Tavondre Sweat obviously is on that list because everybody's going to be watching him. But, we didn't get to see a lot of L'Jarius Sneed. I'm curious to just see, how much he's doing out here from the jump. And then also just some of the guys that we know have been here and have been a big part of the team, and Jeffrey Simmons. We didn't get to see Jeffrey Simmons out here, and his leadership just goes such a long way. And I think Rand Carthon alluded to the fact that he's not just like a leader on the defense anymore.
Yeah.
He's a leader of the entire team. Having Jeffrey Simmons' presence on the field is different, and we didn't get to see that. Now we're going to get to see it from the jump. I'm super excited to just see kind of how he rallies the guys here from the start.
For sure.
For me, who the heck's the right tackle? Who goes out there the first time the team takes the field? There's no NPF on the active PUP list, as Brian Callahan told us yesterday. This was Callahan on the position battles on the right side of the line as he spoke with the media to begin training camp.
Those are going to be real. Those are real battles. I mean, those are real position battles, and they are open. So it's going to go probably the length of training camp. We'll probably declare at some point. They probably won't hear who's going to start there until the opening game, to be honest. And that's the fair way to do it, because I think we got players that are capable, guys that are going to compete, and I think the competition raises the level of performance. And so those will be open jobs. That's the competition. Who you see out there the first day may not be who you see there the second day, and they're going to rotate and have equal opportunity to claim that job. And then obviously once someone's play necessitates them getting more reps, then they'll get more reps. And but that's going to be fun. I'm excited about that battle. I think those guys are up to the task, and you're going to see a lot of those guys playing throughout the course of camp and in the preseason. So to answer the question directly about how quickly you'd like that to happen, I mean, sure, you'd love to have all 5 guys from the day one till the end of training camp together, but that's just not the reality of it. And we got good players that I think are competing for those spots. And if it takes till the week 1, then it takes to week 1.
I think for me, guys, before pads come on, that's the most interesting thing we can learn out here. Who is where, and who is with the twos, and who is not out here, who's in non-contact, things of that nature. Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like your guess is as good as mine on who the right tackle is the first time the ones take the field today.
I truly don't have a clue.
I mean, is it John Ojukwu again, like it was in minicamp and OTAs?
That's what we've heard. His fairness as far as him being able to show up. He's everything you want in the players. What I heard him say on the OTP, he did with Mike Keith them, and you can tell he did that at the end of minicamp, and it was fresh on his mind. Like, he's saying John Ojukwu is everything you want him to be as a player, but is he the player?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
does he have the talent to be a starter?
It's that side of it to me, and I think it's fair what Coach Callahan is saying. It's like, look, I can't name a starter verbally until the end. That's when I really want to do it. But here's the thing. We'll be out here, so we got eyes. At some point, probably about 2 weeks into this thing, we're going to see who's going first mostly, right? We can somewhat designate, okay, he's going with the ones more first than almost anybody else, because here's the thing. Whenever you're going with the ones, that also means you're going with the starting franchise quarterback. And at some point, if it's, who, right? If it's John Ojukwu first, then it's probably going to be his job week 1 starting off the season.
And you mentioned Leroy Watson, too.
Leroy Watson.
He could be in the mix.
Because here's my reasoning in that. The consistency of reps with the ones is what matter. And if you're a guy that's consistently getting 1 reps more than the other guy, then you're probably going to be the starter. I've been in this situation before to where I started, let's go into my second year. I was in the 3-man competition. Yep. And we were all vying for right guard at that time. And I remember, okay, it's fair the first couple of days.
Yeah.
And then coaches want to get to a point to where they can start to game plan. They can start setting up more things offensively for the offense. And I was like, okay, I'm getting just 4 reps a day at this position instead of the 8 that I was getting. So it tells its own story. That's where when you hear guys have that conversations, don't count numbers. Like coaches will tell players all the time, don't count numbers and watch the depth chart. Just focus on yourself. Well, that's because they know we're smart enough to see my reps have gotten cut down.
So you think whoever starts at right tackle today is your week 1 starting?
No, not today.
No, and Callahan
I'm saying over the course.
That's what I'm saying.
No, not today. Not today.
Okay. Callahan said that yesterday. He said there's going to be some things that we're going to try out. So early on, I don't think you can just say for sure, oh, yeah, that's the guy. But I think Ramon is right. Once you hit a point in training camp.
About 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
You've got to probably start to take note on who's taking reps at 1.
First.
Right.
Yep. Even if they are still moving around.
Right.
NPF took over for Radens at the very end of training camp 2 years ago. It was, I want to say going into preseason game 2 or 3, if I'm not mistaken. And that's probably the exception versus the rule. But it feels like Sadiq Charles is your right guard right now.
Yep.
It does,
penciled in.
man.
It's written in pencil, not pen, at this point. And you got a not a mechanical pencil. You got a pencil with an eraser, in case you need it. But at this point, Sadiq Charles is your right guard, and there's a big old question mark between Jalen Duncan, Leroy Watson, John Ojukwu, Jaron Christian, who could be over on that right-hand side, and Brian Callahan spoke a little bit about him yesterday. But they're going to cross-train these guys, too, and that is clearly something that Bill Callahan thinks is valuable in having all of his guys learn a couple of different spots.
Yeah.
And it is. I'll tell you guys all the time, there's a famous saying, the more you can do, the longer you stay around. It just means you give yourself more opportunities for success, or injuries happen. Somebody's going to go down or have a concussion or something, right?
Well, speaking of that, Ran Carthon talked about Treylon Burks yesterday.
Was Ron listening? I hope
Had
he
some
was
good
listening.
things to say. He was. I was in the building yesterday. I was in the building yesterday grabbing our credentials, and Slay had the Burks jersey on. If you're
All
watching
right.
on Zone TV, you saw that we were in mid-season Treylon Burks form with Slay yesterday. Slaylon Burks form, I apologize.
There we go.
Here's the GM on the former first-round pick.
I think Treylon's really grown up. You know, he sent us a picture, you know, of during the offseason, this little break here, you know, showing his new physique. You know, he came in and he really took to heart, you know, the conversation that he had with myself and with Coach Callie. And he's completely bought in. I've, you know, messaged with him, you know, throughout the offseason. And I think he's in a really good spot. And, you know, again, we added Tyler and we added Calvin. Obviously D-Hop was here, but for a young guy like that, he has vets that he can learn from, you know. And again, with him and his size and his speed and his explosiveness, and now, you know, he can be an X, he can be a Z. You know, Tyler's primary spot is probably going to be the F. You know what I mean? So I'm expecting, you know, things from him and just his unselfishness. I know it was some talk about him taking gunner reps, but that was because he wanted to, and he wants to prove that he can stay healthy and play top level football.
I like that. I like the sound of that. I think Treylon Burks' personality, I don't mean this as a slight, I think his personality is better suited to being under the radar versus the show. Is that fair?
That's fair.
I feel like if he's going to be successful in this organization, it's coming from this kind of mentality of what can I do for you? Not, oh, crap, I was drafted to be A.J. Brown.
Right.
Yep. 100%. Again, and that's fair, too. Like, everybody doesn't have to be Batman. Not everybody has to be Superman on the team, right? And again, we're talking about his mentality and the type of guy that he is. He never got the opportunity to get worked into it. And I know, I mean, you say to yourself, well, dang, Mo, he was a first rounder. He was supposed to.
Yeah.
You mentioned personality types. Like, there is a lot of that goes into it, too. And maybe they misread the hog hunting and, you know, this country boy from the South that played in Arkansas.
Asthma.
They misread some stuff, right? He grew into that, if I'm not mistaken, by his third year. Like, he jumped on the scene, and that ain't no knock. It's just, I'll say this. One, he's got a fresh start with this group again, right? We can say that and acknowledge that. And last year, he caught the knee injury in a football practice trying to do what's right for the team. And it looked like he was going to make an amazing catch in the corner of the end zone until the leg came from underneath him. But it's this, though. The communication and acknowledgement that he had with Ran Carthon, and it seemed like Coach Callahan, was very transparent. And you know when the player's feeling it, though, just like with me. And I knew I had a great offseason, you hear me? Like, white can be exposing, right? Wearing all white can be exposing. And I used to show up to training camp with, like, white shorts with a white shirt on just to show, like, look, I'm in tip-top shape. Guys do that type of stuff. So hearing he sent the picture to Ran and the staff to let them know, hey, look, I've done this, which also sets him up to just say, for this coaching staff that's crafting plays for this offense in training camp, put me in positions where you guys think I can be successful. You don't have to worry about my conditioning, my physique, the way I've trained and worked myself. I've checked all of those boxes. We don't have to worry about asthma or issues that are respiratory anymore. Let me play football, and he somewhat put that pressure on himself to provide good play for us moving forward.
Yeah, look, he was still a first-round pick. He was still, you know, a guy that Titans fans looked at because they traded away A.J. Brown, who was extremely productive with the Titans. They looked at him as being the next guy up.
He was supposed to be.
It's not all his fault that played out the way it played out, but it did. And you're a football player, and you're competitive, and you're a first-round draft pick, and these are the expectations. I remember when I sat down with him the first day he came here, and I said, how do you deal with those expectations? He says, that's not something I think about. I don't worry about that. Well, at this point, it's obviously played out in the way that now he's not thought of as the number one wide receiver.
Yeah.
And you're right. He's being given an opportunity, though, to prove himself this year.
All you ever need, right?
Yeah, that you can be a part of this team. Unfortunately, is he going to be a number one moving forward? I don't know. You know, but can he be a part of this team and contribute? in this new offense? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what I think that conversation, might have been about. Like, hey, this is the expectations we have for you this year. We're not expecting you to be our number one guy, but these are things that we do need out of you. And I think that's important that Ram brought up the fact that conversation was had, because there was clearly things that needed to be discussed. Expectations for him, maybe what Treylon needed out of, this coaching staff and what he's looking for. But they're not giving up on him. But I do think this is the year for Treylon to try to prove something that he, gets a reason to stay here.
Do one thing really well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, see, I was going to go opposite of that, though. The thing for him is this. He can be player X out here.
Yeah,
what his skill set is.
I just think that is an area where Treylon has been, again, asked to be A.J. Brown, the do-it-all receiver. Like, I want Treylon Burks to master 2 routes. 2.
I don't.
Run far and then slant.
I don't.
And breaking.
You know what I see for him moving forward if done right? This is just me and my personal opinion on this one is he could be a Cordero Patterson type. He can be a Deebo Samuels type if you put him in. If he's really as jacked up as we think he is and he want to help this team as much as he possibly can, I look at him and say, be player X. All right, 5 wide, nobody's really accounting for you and your speed. Who's got 5 DBs that can cover you the way this team can set it up? If you move him around, put him in the backfield, and I know they got unique running backs already, but to me, if he could be player X to me.
I think you got to earn that, though, don't you?
You do, but here's the thing.
I don't think he's earned that yet.
Whose position is he going to take to actually get, real reps at wide receiver?
Yeah, I mean, he's taken Ridley's or Hopkins when they need a snap off. To me, Kevin Dyson told me this on Titans Talkback once, and I think it's very relevant to Treylon Burks. You've got to earn the ability to be schemed open.
Yeah, I get that.
In this league. There are 2 receivers, 3 maybe, that the Titans are scheming open, and it's the top 3. I think Treylon Burks is the guy you plug in to do 1 or 2 things really well on either the backside of the formation or, hey, look, we need somebody to let's run the D-Hop is down there somewhere play, but run it with Treylon Burks. So the Treylon is down there somewhere play. He's got to be a deep target down the field in order to be a successful wide receiver with his size and with his physical attributes.
But deep passes down the field have a low completion rate for the most part, though.
No,
my thing with a guy like him is you telling me he's only going to do 2 or 3 things. You know what the defensive coordinator on the other side of the ball is doing? Salivating.
Well, right,
you
but
eliminate
he's the 4th
2 of
wide
those 3
receiver.
things, and I know what you got going on. But then it's just like rolling out Khalifa Raymond, or that's rolling out Deion Lewis.
Khalifa Raymond had a good role with this offense.
But it's not consistent with what you're asking him to do as a team. I look at him as weapon X. Put him in at almost every position. Move him around. Create for him essentially more than just saying, hey, deep pass, that's yours. Or, hey, the deep over, this is you. That to me is too predictable, and it minimizes what his actual athletic ability could be for this team.
And what's always interesting is if you look back at Arkansas and the success that he had, it was in the slot. It wasn't even like a guy that was a deep field threat.
Yeah.
It was they utilized him though mainly in that position.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be interesting again to see what opportunities they give him here. But you're right, he has to make the most of every single opportunity.
First thing comes to catching the ball,
and he's got to stay on the field.
Yeah.
615-737-1045, our number. Headlines around the league as camps open in the NFL. Plus, before we look ahead to the future of the Titans, one more answer about the past from Rand Carthon on Derrick Henry. That's coming up next. Hey, it's Will Bowling here from my friends at Brentwood Hearing Center. Do you have hearing loss? Maybe you're wearing hearing aids. You're not wanting to be around the water. You're at the lake. You're at the beach, in the pool, but you don't want water damage to your hearing aids. Maybe you're just doing yard work and there's humidity, moisture, sweat. Well, I want to tell you about the latest technology at Brentwood Hearing Center. They've got waterproof hearing aids. You can enjoy being around the water. You can enjoy all those sounds of friends and family with the Phonak Lumity Life, the world's only hearing aid that is completely waterproof. And when you go to Brentwood Hearing Center, you get the very best technology, the most recent hearing device technology, and you can go totally underwater without the fear of damaging those hearing aids. Give them a call, 615-377-0420. See what this technology can do for you and learn more about Lumity Life, or visit them online at BrentwoodHearingCenter.com. That's 615-377-0420. Brentwood Hearing Center, better hearing, better life. Wrapping up the first half of the show on your Wednesday morning, Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Rett Brian will stop by coming up in 15 minutes. We've got a weekly feature with Rett we're going to do. That we're going to debut coming up in about a half hour. Rett's Under the Radar. A story about a player you might not have heard of who maybe is significant to your life as a Titans fan over these next few weeks.
Nice.
615-737-1045, how you jump in. We'll get to headlines around the league coming up in a moment, but it was a short and sweet answer from Rand Carthon yesterday, who was asked, were you given or offered, I should say, a third or fourth round pick for Derrick Henry? And Rand answered with this.
No, I wasn't. I don't know where that came from. That's not my concern. But we had multiple teams, to call about Derrick and offer something that wasn't worth taking or worth even considering, and I communicated that with Derrick during that time. But no, we never agreed with anybody to do anything to move anybody.
There you go.
Wow.
Take it or leave it. That is the on-the-record answer, and I tend to believe that is probably true.
We need that Rick Ross allegations, false accusations.
Who did that report out?
False
I can't
accusations.
remember.
It's been a couple of different people at this point. It was, put back out there this week. I don't remember off the top of my head.
because it was
been a
specified
couple
this
people.
week, I think, with the third or fourth round pick thing.
It was. But the original, I guess, came from the mouth of Baltimore Ravens. There you go, starting stuff again.
Yeah.
It's from Eric DaCosta is essentially what they said the words came from. So I don't know what it meant. They love Derrick. Of course, a lot of folks did. Like Rand said, they got plenty of opportunities for him. So the accusations, according to Rand, weren't as accurate as they say they were. So right now it's he versus she, so we'll see.
That's the thing. The question was asked, and he gave you the answer, so you can believe him or do whatever you want to do. But the fact is Derrick Henry's not here anymore, and you didn't get a third or fourth round pick, and that's what it is. So now you got two other running backs to look forward to.
It is the Ravens GM, Eric DaCosta, who has said on the record, I thought there was a reasonable chance we would get a trade done. It didn't work out. It was disappointing, but we pivoted. Okay. And that was when Derrick was introduced back in March. And then you get more reports from behind the scenes this week, yada, yada, yada. In the past at this point, there's the end of the story. Derrick Henry's a Raven and Tony Pollard's a Titan.
Exactly.
Anyway, yesterday, Dallas Cowboys star CeeDee Lamb reportedly is not expected to report to training camp today with the rest of the Dallas Cowboys. This comes the same day as John Lynch in San Fran says we fully intend on Brandon Ayuk being a 49er moving forward. Guys, I have no doubts at all that both these guys get deals, play this season, and aren't moved. It just really feels like a matter of time until CeeDee Lamb gets his deal and Brandon Ayuk has some kind of conclusion in San Fran that allows him to stay there.
I last week I essentially thought Brandon Ayuk would be gone. I now am of the mindset, they're going to make him stay put. Y'all were right on that one. Like, hey, he's there for the long haul. And I'll say this for Dallas. Dallas got to do a better job of managing, man. They got two players right now immediately that have to be paid. CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott.
Yeah,
Kayla.
Those are biggies.
Yeah, those are some big numbers they're going to have to hand out.
Move.
We were talking about money. Bert brought that up on the breaks. Like, you lose track of the money that's moving around the NFL and you see these numbers now. Like, you're going to be blown away. Like, if it's true, Dak saying he don't want to talk unless his numbers start with a six as far as the annual average, we're talking $60 million. CeeDee Lamb now is what, third? Who wide receivers got paid? Justin Jefferson got paid this offseason.
T. Higgins did.
T. Higgins got paid this offseason.
He didn't.
No, he did.
Get paid,
But guys that already broke the bank this year for wide receiver. Justin Jefferson. Like, what is he, close to 40?
But these guys are all a year behind when Jefferson got drafted. So that part of it does make sense.
Yeah, it does. But they need to get CD and Dak Prescott taken care of. This is almost – it's flagrant that they hadn't yet.
Yeah, that's the whole thing with the Dallas Cowboys. I think they live for the drama. I think Jerry Jones lives exactly, but he doesn't seem to give a what because
money.
The pockets run deep in the Dallas Cowboys organization. I guess that's the benefit of having that type of money is maybe you can wait to do these deals, but I agree. It's got to get done. CeeDee Lamb has proven himself as that wide receiver, that number one guy for his quarterback. Dak Prescott, who I know we've had discussions about before in terms of can he get it
Dak
done?
is fine.
And he
He's
can.
fine. Yeah.
He can get it done. I don't think he's the ultimate issue by any means there. Make your quarterback happy. Make your wide receiver one happy. And just give him the bag.
This is the ultimate Dallas Cowboys drama on for
it is. They live for it.
Yeah.
They were all drafted same year, obviously. I was mistaken. In 2020, all those guys were together
CD
with Jefferson and Brandon Ayuk as well. But Jefferson's the number one guy. He gets the deal first. Now a race to be second.
Smart. Even though it was a high number, smart on them to be the first ones.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, the other guy that got paid.
That's right.
Yes,
that's right.
Somewhere else we were missing.
It was him.
This also yesterday in other camps. I'm filibustering because I thought I had the tweets. There we go. Andre Dillard has no shot at blocking Rashawn Gary. Andy Herman, Green Bay Media, writes, just a massive mismatch. Gary with another sack. He skips a line, and Rashawn Gary follows it up with another sack. Just unstoppable. So if you were curious, yes, Andre Dillard is in midseason form with the Green Bay Packers. 615-737-1045 is our number.
I wanted to get in on that.
Second half of the show with Rett Brian joining us, coming up next.
What's going on? 8 o'clock. What's going on? 8 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios. Hey, we ain't at the damn studios. We out here at Asencion St. Thomas Sports Park for Tennessee Titans training camp. Yesterday, Rand Carthon spoke to the media, had this to say about a potential DeAndre Hopkins extension.
We've identified a number of guys that, we'd like to continue to move forward with, and eventually take care. But you guys have heard me, we're going to keep family business in terms of talking about their contracts and what's next for them. But we as a staff, we have identified some guys that, we'd like to have here, long term.
Speaking of extensions, Jacksonville extending corner Tyson Campbell to a 4-year, $76.5 million extension. Now the seventh highest paid cornerback who has not made a Pro Bowl. Wasn't the only dude to get paid yesterday going to the NFC North with the Vikings. Left tackle Christian Darrisaw signing a 4-year, $113 million extension. That $28 million per year is the highest annual value of any tackle in the NFL. Fell to the Vikings in the first round of the 2021 draft. Still had 2 years left on his rookie deal. Minnesota prioritized getting the deal done early. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second half of the show and hour number 3 here already live from day number 1 at Tennessee Titans Training Camp 2024. American rules tackle football will be practiced in front of our very eyes this morning, and we have got a full crew ready here to get you set. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, Kirby Allen Kirby, Reed Smith back at our 104.5 The Studios, and joining us here at the table, the executive producer of Titans Radio, the one, the only, Rett Brian is in the building. Rett, happy training camp. Good morning.
Woo-hoo. Oh, what a beautiful morning.
Yes.
I mean, it's overcast and there's a chance of rain, but golly, I'm looking at the fields here, fields 1, 2, and 3 at Asencion St. Thomas Sports Park, and they are manicured. I feel like some PGA golfers are going to come out here and take some shots. It's that beautiful. It is. We're here. We've made it. Here it is.
I'm not used to seeing grass this good. This looks like a fairway. I don't spend a lot of time in those, but you're right. It does look like a fairway.
It's beautiful, but it's unfamiliar.
That's right. That's right. Usually I'm in knee-high grass at this point. Rett, there is a ton to get to. Brian Callahan and Rand Carthon spoke about so much yesterday. We've got the first installment, though, coming up here in a few minutes, Rett, of Rett's Under the Radar Player of the Week. I'm excited to talk about some of the stories and some of the players that will become preseason stars, training camp contributors, and be guys that could make this roster.
Yeah, and that's something that I try to focus on this time of the year, because some of these gentlemen, we don't know whether they're going to make the roster or not. And some of those we try to tell their stories in the preseason on Titans Radio. And, I think that's the thing that we're always reminded about. Football brings people together. Yeah. And a football team is comprised of guys from all different places, all different kinds of backgrounds, and sometimes incredible stories. And I've got one with my first Under the Radar candidate later this hour. It's going to be good. I think you'll enjoy it.
Looking forward to it.
What stood out yesterday from report day from Brian Callahan, Rand Carthon, meeting with the media?
So I think the first thing, and it was, every time we hear Brian Callahan speak, I get more and more impressions and thoughts about just how smart this guy is. Yeah. And he's already carrying himself like a head coach, even though he hadn't necessarily coached his first game yet. And it starts with the immediate shutdown of the competition on the right side of the line, guard and tackle. Yeah. And so much the fact that he went up the extra length to just say, hey, listen, there's going to be rotations, there's going to be battles, and we're probably not going to know who that is until week 1. And I think what he meant by that is we sitting at this table and the rest of the media corps won't know. I think they'll have an idea and they'll put some things together. But just to put that to bed to begin with, so that it is not a constant question, because the thing is, and I heard you guys earlier this morning. And by the way, if you didn't, folks, Zone Podcasts, go find them wherever they're available to you on the platforms, and you'll have that available to you. But despite who the rotation is with, and I think your point was correct, Ramon, is you're going to start paying attention to who gets reps with the ones to begin with, who starts with that as we get on into camp. And I also think you're right that once we get to the joint practices with the Seahawks and get 10 days into camp, I think you're going to start to see some of that develop. But
now there'll still be competition it's a matter of one slip up, Rett. I mean, you could be moved down, but you're right as far as delegating it. They'll know. They just want to see also. I ain't mean to interrupt you, but they want to see if you can handle it, right? Being a starter.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much to it. And then you pepper in what Rand Carthon and Assistant General Manager Anthony Robinson said yesterday. They're always looking for talent acquisition in this. And there's some names that are still out there. But the other part of it, here in a few weeks, there's going to be a lot of roster releases, even from here and the other 31 places. So I guarantee you he even mentioned that he had talked to 3 or 4 general managers about where you light. What position group are you heavy in? And knowing that he has some of the same issues here, light and heavy.
And on top of that, too, something was said in a press conference from Rand. It might have been from Anthony Robinson, but they were talking about, the steadily shuffling, right, trying to figure out where they can pick up guys off waivers. He acknowledged, again, and gave answers. He said, we're 7th in line as far as claims. And that right there is super significant right there. If there's a guy, and 5 of the 6 teams in front of you don't need him, then you have a better opportunity to either get like a quality teamer or somebody that you didn't think you were going to have the ability to get. 7th in line, Rett, this time of the year, ain't a bad place to be as it pertains to claims of people getting cut from other squads.
Absolutely not. And it's the same position you were in the NFL draft, and you got J.C. Latham out of it. So, in a different way, but the same order, there you are.
Yeah, and there's no risk at that either. Like, there's no signing bonuses that have to be given at that point. You're working basically for camp checks, right?
Well, ultimately
now.
A champ check.
It's
going really well.
Be turned into that.
I appreciate you flipping that for me.
Yeah, man.
I think the big question that people are going to have throughout training camp, at least until we see maybe what we expect to see out of him, and I don't know if that happens in training camp, is T'Vondre Sweat, and they did talk about him being ready to go, being healthy. That's a plus in its own right, because we didn't see him out here really for mandatory or OTAs. But really, what are expectations? I hate to use that word so much, but what are we going to see out of him? I think that we could maybe just step back for a second and be like, okay, it's okay. Like, let's let it play out. This is obviously something people still think they took a risk on. What is it that you feel like people need to see from him in camp that puts them at ease a little bit about this big guy?
Well, I think the first thing is what you've already pointed out and alluded to is availability. We didn't see him a whole lot outside of that rookie minicamp and a couple other things. And so I think just seeing him and being in his presence and being able to see that he is taking the coaching from Tracy Rocker, the defensive line coach, and starting to apply that. I think the other part of it is, listen, they believe he can be more than what he was at the University of Texas. And I guarantee you Jeffrey Simmons hopes that he is too.
Yeah.
Because, my goodness, with that much beef right there, you could be able to free up Big Jeff to do some stuff, especially if your pass rush is working right and your ends are working right there. But, he is one of – you could really poise the question, I'm sure you have in the past weeks, of who needs to have a good camp.
Yeah.
He's one of those that needs to have a good camp. And then there's obvious answers like Will Levis. Will Levis needs to have a good camp. But that was another takeaway from Brian Callahan's presser yesterday, is that he feels like he's in a good place. he feels like that he is dialed in where he needs to be, and clearly he's been putting in the work. We've seen evidence of that, or whether he's been doing it here or doing it training with the receivers out west. And the other one that I took away from yesterday that makes me so happy is it sounds like Ryan Stonehouse is a go, ready to roll.
That's positive.
I thought of you automatically, right? Just so you know.
I can't tell people how good of a dude Stoney is, and how much he has worked his rear end off to get back to this point. And I'm sure it's going to be one of those things like anybody else that's coming off a procedure. There's going to be a ramp up, and that goes back to the Tavondre Sweat question too.
Right.
There's going to be there's a rise to this. But no, by the time we get to this weekend where it's padded practices and those things, there's where it really begins. Yeah. But I'm so happy for him, and goodness gracious, we've seen what a weapon he can be to flip the field in that third phase of the game.
And they even said they could have technically kept him on PUP, but they wanted to see him out here seeing pressure. Because the physical part is here now. Callahan said now it's just the mental part of kind of facing that pressure. And so I thought that was really interesting to hear, too, from him on why they wanted to go ahead and just put him out there now.
Absolutely.
In terms of Stonehouse.
Absolutely. And I think some other guys you could say, hey, who needs a good camp? I think Dylan Radins needs to have a good camp. And I think he has started to cement himself. But can he cement himself as a starter? I don't know. We'll see. But he's definitely going to have an opportunity, I think. And where does Daniel Brunskill go? Does he end up settling as the backup center? I don't know. So, there's a million stories in this.
There's a ton to get to, and we will continue covering those storylines from Titans training camp with Rett Brian when we come back. Plus, Rhett's first under-the-radar player of the week, an offensive player that you might not heard of, and you will know a lot more about as we continue this morning. Rett Brian here with us at the table. Titans training camp 2024 football is back. We got more with Rett after this.